Hi, welcome. Today we'll be talking to Olivia Nguyen, aka Fiyabomb, about how she went from working at a nail salon to becoming a successful six-figure gallery artist and entrepreneur. When you go on Olivia's social media, you'll find that she's much more than a super talented artist. You'll see she's an advocate for women empowerment, self-love, and mental health awareness, on top of being an incredibly strong athlete. Tune in to hear about how Olivia turned her dream into a reality. Let's go. Before we go, I want to thank you for watching this on YouTube. As you listen to the conversation, you may notice that the audio will not sync with the video, and I want to give you my deepest apologies for that viewing experience. I hope you're able to enjoy the conversation just as much as we did. All right, with that being said, let's go. Hi, Olivia. Thank you so much for being a part of my conversation series, for kicking it off. You have no idea how much I appreciate you agreeing, doing this episode with me, starting it off. You know how much I love you and your work and everything that you're about. And so I'm excited for the listeners to hear your story. I know it's going to touch a lot of people's hearts, and I'm just looking forward to it. Also, before we dive in, I just want to say that I'm just going to add on. I feel particularly honored having you as my first guest because you have been so supportive of me since day one. I told you about this idea months ago, and your reaction was it was so validating for me, and it was validating for me because of who you are. I have been following your platform. We're friends, and so getting that positive response from you was everything for me, and it gave me more of that motivation and energy to take the action to get started with this. So thank you, and welcome to the episode.
I cannot wait until you have a whole title. Welcome to the. But honestly, Mario, I love you, and I am so happy and so honored that you asked me. And I'm so happy to be part of this beginning journey of yours. So thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll get started with the first question. Olivia, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Olivia Nguyen. I am also known as the artist Fiyabomb. That is my artist stage name. And I am a acrylic painter. I'm a gallery artist. I'm a visual artist. I like to kind of categorize all of that because I do so many things other than just paint on a canvas. I'm a very high intellected creative. I see a lot of creativity in everything in everyday life. Right when I leave the house, right when I go to the gym, right when I go to the art store, right when I'm having conversations. I just feel like my mind just constantly keeps working. I am an alpha female. I am a leader. I am a warrior. I am a ninja. I am an athlete. I love to describe myself as I am an impact and I am a force, and I want to be that for other people, whether it's inspiring them, whether it's influencing them to gain more encouragement or to gain more validation, more confidence in their everyday life. I want to make sure that I left that kind of mark on this earth before I leave.
And I can tell you, Olivia, you are doing those things. You
Thank you.
are.
Thank you.
So my next question thank you so much for that introduction. It was on point, on brand, and so authentically you.
Thank you.
All right. So you are an artist. That's one facet of who you are. And right now it is your livelihood. It's the facet that allows you to like survive in our society right now.
Yeah.
You can be an artist, right? Anyone can be an artist, and I feel like everyone is an artist. And then you can be an artist where that's your livelihood. And there's a big difference
Very
between
big one. Very, very big one. Yes.
So I understand that you got your degree in art. Is that correct?
Yes, arts and sciences, my bachelor's.
Okay. All right. So when you were getting your degree, did you get that degree with the intention to just dive into what you love, to learn more? Because sometimes people get their education in art or in anything just out of pure interest, right? Just because it's
Yes.
their calling, it's something that they just want to learn more about and be better at.
Mhm.
And then you have this other side where you get a degree so that you can start working in that field. So
Mhm.
you, when you were getting your art degree, what was your intention? Did you always intend to do art as your livelihood, or at the time was it just something that you felt called to because it was and is your passion?
So this is going to be such a good story. So I went to CCSU, and when I first came in and entered CCSU, I was marked as undecided. And I think during that time, when you're a new freshman to college, as many people are after they graduate high school, right? They kind of go in, they don't really have the slightest idea of kind of what the field that they want to go in. You just feel like you should have it set in your mind. Like, I'm going to go be a doctor. I'm going to go be a lawyer. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm working in the medical field. I'm going to go into IT. I'm going to be a teacher, etc. Right. And I wanted to find something along the lines that would help me be financially stable, but along the lines still having those interests that I have that involve creativity and art, right? So, going into college and not knowing a lot of things, but knowing if there's anything that I can absolutely bet on myself was that I might not be good at like Scantron tests, or I might not be good at public speaking or being in like group projects with other individuals that, I'm not familiar with, right? And I might get like really nervous, right? But if there's something that I just know and I was always so confident about was I know I'm very, very talented when it comes to art. And when I took my art classes in college, I excelled really quickly in a lot of my classes, and I got like a lot of praise from my professors. But every single semester, you're always encouraged to go to your advisor for a new PIN to register for your classes for the following semester. My advisor was advising me to change my major from art. He was just like, "You're not going to make any money. You're going to be starving. You're going to be struggling." He was just like, "You might as well be an art teacher." I didn't have any desire in teaching people. I just feel like that requires a lot of patience. And I'm just like, oh my God, I already have enough patience just to do art and say,
Yeah.
"You want me to teach people?" He was telling me, he was just like, "You should switch your major from art to nursing." He was just like, he was like, "The medical field is thriving. You would find a job. You wouldn't be out of a job." He was just like, "You're just kind of going to school for art, not even art ed." I went to school for art. And my high intention and purpose from that was because I always wanted to be famous. And I wanted to be famous for my work. That
Mm.
like that was it. I was like, I want to be well known, and I wanted to be an artist. I want to keep creating. I want to be like those painters that are in New York City that got a loft and they be selling their shit for like $50,000. I was
Yeah.
like, that's me. And I had that intention at 18. I am 34 now. One thing that I'm really good at, I was actually just talking about this with one of my friends yesterday, and I'm sure all my exes can, what's it called, confirm this, but I don't like to listen to people. And this, no, I don't like to listen to people. I don't like to tell me what to do, but honestly, it's like I can take your advice, but at the same time, I will always do what I think is best for me to do. So I still at art all 4 years. I excelled in all of my classes, and from there, and it's so beautiful how it ended up blossoming. But I was an illustrator before I became a painter, and I taught myself how to paint after college. But I had a
Oh
professor.
wow.
Yeah, I had a professor that was in one of my classes where he taught me a drawing class, but he also taught a painting class. But I never took painting at CCSU. So he said to me too, he was just like, "You draw so quickly, and it's very exact. It's very well skilled." He was just like, like, "I don't ever have to worry about you, even if you come into class late." He was like, "You just always get your shit done." And then he told me, he was just like, I know for a fact that if you can draw like this, you will paint just as well. And then I'm thinking, I'm just like, oh my God, painting, like drawing with a pencil and painting with a paintbrush is so different. But after I graduated, I went to AC Moore and I taught myself how to paint. And one of my very first paintings was a painting of a celebrity. And I was telling myself, I was like, you're going to teach yourself how to do this and you're going to get really, really, really good at it. So I do want to share, right?
Olivia, could I interrupt you here?
No, go ahead.
So what inspired you to pick up painting and not just continue illustrating?
Okay, so I love this question because I have a really, and and it's not to like, it's just like to share my spiritual journey. I have like a really solid relationship with God. Me and God are like this. And like I listen to God too. And sometimes like I am one of those people where I pay attention to all the signs in my life, right? Like it could be bad, it could be good. I could be really in my head about it, but I'm here and I'm just like, I trust myself. I trust my intuition. So I remember I couldn't find a job. I couldn't find a job after I graduated college. And because I went to school for art and I minored in marketing. So mind you, I minored in marketing, right? Because I actually thought in my mind, I thought to myself, well, college, art, and marketing, I'm like, that kind of goes hand in hand, right? And I was like, I could do like art advertisement or something like that. I was trying to plan something for myself, right? And I just thought it was like really interesting. So I couldn't find a job after I graduated. So traditionally, what a lot of Vietnamese people do is we work in nail salons. And I was making good money, like working under the table. But I didn't want to feel like I went to college for 5 years, like, and I ended up working at a nail salon. Like, why did I go to college?
So what type of job were you looking for after college? Was it more of like down that marketing route? So more of like a traditional job?
If anybody in your interview has ever seen Sex in the City, I was Charlotte. I wanted to be like an art dealer. I wanted to be like, what's it called? Like, New York City, you walk into a museum event space and these people, they throw money. We take care of art, of everything, artists, auctions, all that. I wanted to be in that industry.
Okay.
I find I just find art so very powerful and impactful, but on a very larger scale, right? That like a lot of people see like in the movies and all that. I wanted to go down that field.
Yeah.
So when I was at the nail salon and I hated my job because I just didn't think that I went to school for 5 years just to end up working at a nail salon shop. And it's not offense towards anybody that does. It's just one of those things where you're just like, this is not for me. Like, so I wasn't happy, but during my breaks, what I would do was Instagram had just came out. So this is like so many years ago, but Instagram had just came out. I graduated 2013 and during my breaks, I would just like sketch little things, but I wanted to kind of show people because Instagram was a new platform. It had just came right after Tumblr and everybody was very big on posting pictures.
Yeah.
So then I found Instagram, I'm like, ooh, let me like show people I know how to draw this and that. I would draw little snippets of like just illustrations of like Jordans or like cartoon characters or like mini sketches of celebrities, right? Twitter a huge platform at the same time in my work with Twitter and Instagram. And I think like at this point it was like I only had like 300 followers. And I'm telling you, I was in my bedroom. I had a really small bedroom. I think I showed it to you. I had a really small bedroom and I was in my bedroom and I was just like, I woke up one morning and I was trying to figure out, because I think this is how your mind works when you're a creative. We always try to think, what's the next biggest like shit that I can pull off? What's the next biggest thing that I can do? And in my mind right now, marketing, goes in hand, right? But I remember waking up and I heard like this like voice. It was like a voice, but it was like a thought that just like it like struck my mind and it was like, get your ass up and do this right now. So and normally when I have like those epiphanies or anything like that, I go straight for it. I go straight to the store. I don't even hesitate. It's not even like it's like, oh, I'll go on Wednesday. I'm like, no, like you gotta go right now because something good is gonna happen if you do it right now.
Yeah.
So I had like this like it was like a voice, right? And I'm telling you, it's God. but I had like this voice where it was just like, go to the paint store and make a very big painting. I know it's your first time painting, but go to the paint store and paint this celebrity. And on top of that, document it. During this time, Instagram was only 15-second videos. So the way that I did it too, right? In a way to entertain everybody, my 300 followers that was following me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna document everything to kind of keep the people intrigued. So there's a lot of thought process that's going through this because nobody's thinking of doing this during like this time. No one's just like everybody back then, right? I'm young and people are just like, oh my gosh, she's being so extra, but I'm just like, no, I know that I'm talented and I know that I can entertain the people. So there were several 15-second videos of me prepping the wall, prepping the canvases, outlining, sketching, and then doing the paint work. And these people were engaged, so engaged to the point where back then, right, we would tag the celebrity, the artist, whatever. And now you have my 300 followers connecting with other people saying, hey, I need you to tag this person's barber. I need you to tag his mailman, tag his mom, or tag, and everyone's just like, because I think one thing that people can recognize, right, it is the power of trying, right? It's like, you don't know me, but you're just like, wow, I mean, I got to give her kudos because she's shooting her shot. I think she's like absurd. Or I think like, because back then a lot of people were not accepting as they are today about like putting yourself out there and all that.
That's true.
And this, like, people thought it was ridiculous. That
it was so weird,
and
right?
They thought it was. They thought
like
it was,
you're vlogging, like you're putting yourself on the internet like that. Like it was so rare to see that back then.
And I think I was only 21, 22. I was only 20 years old. I was young. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was doing the best with what I got, right? Even then, like back then, I just remember like thinking to myself, like, it's almost like I know what I'm about to do, but I also have to get into the head of the viewers too. And I want to give them what they want. And what would intrigue them more, right? Like they see the artwork, they like the artwork too, right? But then now it's almost like, I want them to get to know the person that does it. Because there's another thing, right? There's another thing where like, oh my God, I love her work. But then it's just like, oh my God, I love her vibe. Oh my gosh, she reminds me of me. Oh my God, that's my best friend on Instagram, right? And then you keep talking to people and you keep engaging with them and you're honest with them and all that too. And I feel like one thing that even back then, if people could not deny is the power of someone's effort and hard work. You can never like it's one of the things where it's just like, even if like somebody went through like, let's just say a weight loss journey, right? And they lost a lot of weight and they made a massive transformation, right? You can't say to somebody like, oh yeah, this person's extreme, or yeah, this person's like they're a little bit extra what they're doing. No, they changed their life. And the viewer's reaction will always tell you how they feel about themselves.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's awesome.
Oh,
that's how I became a painter. So I just went, I listened to his voice, and then I just went to the store and spent the next 11 hours painting this massive portrait of Big Sean.
Wow. And we'll get into the rest of that story in a little bit. I love that you mentioned, and this was like something small that you mentioned, but it was when inspiration hits, you had to act on it like immediately, or you act on it immediately. And so this is a whole other conversation too that I'll probably have with you another day. But going back to it, but it definitely stood out to me because it's so true. Like when you get hit with that idea, the longer you let it linger, that idea is gonna go to someone else, or it's just not gonna be for you anymore.
Oh my God! I did want to ask if you have ever read Big Magic.
I have it.
So she is the author that wrote Eat, Pray, and Love, and in the book, right? And I'm a big firm believer in what you just said. If you don't act on it, this idea will transfer to somebody else, and you are going to like kick yourself in the butt for seeing it being executed by somebody else. And let's just say if they did it well or if they didn't do it well, you're just going to be upset at yourself for not acting in the moment that you should have. Yeah. And it's just like, don't live with that regret. Like, live trying all the time. Live knowing that you tried all the time. Like, like we know a lot of people that don't try. So it's just like when you do see other people trying, right? Even if it's not in the same field as you
Mhm.
can recognize it and you're just like, wow, this person is giving it all they got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're trying, right? So you have people
Yeah. And
who
this,
want to make change, but they don't take those action steps. They don't try, and then you have people who actually try, and it's the people who try who end up making it happen because you can't
yeah.
go anywhere if you don't try.
Yeah. It's because they never gave up.
That's right.
Yeah. It's almost to be honest with you, right? When you go down that road, it's almost like an addiction because it's like you don't ever stop. You're just like, you're very innovative, right? Where you will always find a way, even if like the way will only get me further ahead a little bit. I'm always gonna find another way, whether it's gonna get me ahead a lot, you know. But you're just like once you grow into that habit of being consistent with trying, it becomes so second nature to you, where
Uh,
you're just like telling other people, "It's okay. It's okay to fuck up. It's okay to like fail. Just keep doing it. You're gonna be great at it. Nobody gets on the first shot."
that's absolutely right, and it's a muscle of practicing that. It's like it's you do it once, it's super hard, but the more you do it, the easier it is. And I think what's happening, what happened there was you get struck with this idea, this inspiration, but you
Yeah.
have to trust yourself to
Yeah.
do it, right? There are other elements in there that you have to have ready for you to actually take that action and go through with it. And the more you do it, the more you trust yourself and you trust that voice and that inspiration.
Yes. Agreed.
And I think that's when it starts to become addicting. It's like because you know what the result's gonna be. It's gonna be great because you trust
Yeah.
yourself. You trust that intuition.
Because the universe, God, like whomever, like will always see the work that you're putting in, right? The faith that you have of the work that you're putting in, it will never go unnoticed. It will, even if somebody just applauded you from across the room, it will never go unnoticed, you know? So imagine like just even a bigger entity noticing all the hard work that you are putting out. And it's just like, we see this person, let's give to this person.
That's right. And going back to a point you made earlier, hard work will always pay off. It will
Always,
pay off if it's
always.
aligned. If it's aligned hard work, if you're doing what brings you joy,
Yeah.
what lights you up,
This
and
me,
you put the hard work towards that, no
yeah,
matter what, it's going to pay off.
yes. And I'd also too, I'd believe in divine timing.
Mm.
Yeah. Everything you gotta keep doing the work. There will be a time. There will be a time to flex.
Oh, I love this. I love this so much. So, going back to when you were working that job that you hated, it was not for you,
Mhm.
the nail salon. Could you share what happened there? What was the day, the moment that you decided that that was not for you? And I'm so excited for this story. I believe it involved
Ah!
a toenail. So please, can you share
And
the
this
moment that you decided I am no longer doing this? I'm gonna jump 100% into this art endeavor, no matter what it takes. So could you
Mhm.
share about that time, that moment in time that you decided to make that jump?
Yes, absolutely. It's a good story too. So, I was working at a nail salon, and let me just say too, back then finances like are really different, right? Things aren't as priced as high as they are now. So even working under the table, working at a nail salon where like, you know, you're doing manicures and pedicures and we're helping people stay groomed and all that,
Mhm.
like tips tips and what you make as a set price and all that, it's great money. It's great money. But then even I think this is important to say, right? But even great money can make you tired, especially if you don't like it. Like I can get paid a lot for this, but if I don't like it, I just hate my life and I hate what I'm doing. Like
Mm.
even if you're giving me a lot of money for it, it's just I can't find it in myself to wake up every single day and go back to this place and just hate my life, you know? So, one of the things that I do feel like has always kind of saved me internally is doing art, right? So, I'm at the nail salon. I'm freshly new out of college and trying to figure out, like, back then, oh my God, how am I going to pay these loans back? Or what does my life consist of at this point? Where will I go? Because I don't really have a big built resume, right? From being a art major in college. Because the thing with that, right? A lot of people have resumes that have cover letters. Artists, we have portfolio. And portfolio is just very subjective. Either you like it or you don't. Either the art is for you or it's not. I was at the nail salon and I drew a small little picture on a notepad of Big Sean. And I only had 300 followers, and I had a follower of mine that was from Chicago, and he was just like, "Hey, I saw that you drew a picture of Big Sean, and I just want to let you know he's hosting a contest right now." He was like, "You should totally do it. He's looking for people to design his new clothing line, and he's looking for people to design his new album artwork." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "This is my chance," and I'm very like ambitious, and I'm also very excited because I'm like just one of those people where I'm just like, I'm about to execute this shit. Like it's gonna be great. I just know I get so amped up about it, right? Because I'm just trying. So I go and I do it, and I'm here, and I'll tag during that time. Big Sean was dating his late girlfriend, Naya Rivera from Glee, and I was drawing so many different pictures of him, but it was just small notebook papers and then sketchbook papers, right? And just like I would tag him, I would tag her, I would tag his crew, I would tag his record label, and I just felt like, okay, it's not getting the exposure that I wanted to get. So then that voice comes, right, and I'm just like, oh my god, what's it called? Okay, I want you to go to the art store, grab a lot of canvases, make a grid in your living room, and paint this man's face. This painting should be 6 by 7 feet. And even in my mind, right now, this is where the marketing aspect of being a student with a marketing minor comes in, right? Because mind you, remember, I don't like talking to people. I don't like being in group projects, especially if you want me to talk in front of people and go up into the front of the classroom. I'm like dying inside. I'm like, God. So but that was back then when I wasn't comfortable with it, right? So I'm here and I'm just like using that marketing tactic. I'm like, if I was a celebrity, right? If I was a celebrity, and let's just say back then when somebody created a 6 by 7 foot painting of my face, I would want to know where it's at. I would want to know where in America it's at. And Connecticut wasn't really a place where it was highlighted with spectacular things because, we're such a small state and a lot of people only knew us for UConn. They knew us for Yale. They didn't really know us for much, right? I'm like I'm one of those people where I'm like super proud of where I come from. Like, I'm just like, I will tell, because a lot of people always think I'm based out of LA, New York, or this and that. And I'm like, no, I'm from Connecticut. And then they get excited when they find out that I live here. But so from there, I went and I did this painting, and it did really well. It did really well. It got over so many likes, and people were tagging so many of his people and all that. And like, okay, like this is great. And I'm in also that time of my life too, where I didn't expect more to happen after what I just did. I feel like I just accepted. I wasn't really manifesting. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and this will be the result, the reward. And even the reward to myself, right, was that I was able to do this painting in 11 hours in front of like the internet, right? So then I'm walking. Sorry, I know the story will go into the whole toenail thing, but so I'm walking at the park and I'm hanging out with one of my girlfriends. She was from UHeart. I remember my phone. I had the iPhone 4. And I remember it was just, the LED was just lighting up crazy. It was just lighting up so many times. Like there was a stream of like just so many notifications coming down. I'm just like, what is going on? So I go to my phone and I remember like I lived for this moment and I didn't think that this was going to happen. But I just remember it saying, Big Sean liked your photo. Big Sean liked your photo. Big Sean liked your video. Big Sean liked your video. And I'm like, oh my God, he knows I exist. Like, he knows that this painting exists. This is great. Like, my life is set. Like, I love it. Thank you. Or just thank you for making me feel like, like it was doable. Like, it was like, I can do it. What's it called? Get an email. And I thought it was interesting. So I'm still working at the nail salon. I get an email and it's from his people. It's from his publicist. And they're just like, hey, Liv, we just saw the painting that you did for Big Sean on your Instagram. Right now he is on tour with Kid Cudi and they are going to have a show at Mohegan Sun. We would love for you. We would love to know if you would like to attend with another guest so that you can give him your painting in person. So mind you, right,
Wow.
I get this email, right? I get this email, such a loaded email, right? Because at first, like, you thought I was gonna say no, and then two, right? Like, I really had to say it, but like back then, I lived to be the 18th color on Hot 90.7 just to see if I can go to a concert. I was like, my first time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to go to a concert and I get to be in the front. Like, that's crazy. So I go to this man's concert, and I had trouble going into the casino too because the painting is large and there's security guards everywhere, and they're just like, "What is this? And where are you carrying it?" And they were trying to figure out if it had something inside of it. So I go with a friend of mine at the time, and we go to the set, we go to the show, and Kid Cudi comes on first, Big Sean comes on second. So no, actually Big Sean came on first, and then Kid Cudi came on second. So he goes into the crowd, right? He says to like his audience, he was just signed by Kanye West, and he goes to his audience and he says like, "I know what it feels like to be broke. Like, I know what it feels like to live in my girlfriend's basement before I was signed to good music." He was like, and I know what it feels like, to like not be able to afford bills and have to like, have money lent to you from family members and friends and all that. And you don't really know what's going to happen with your life, but you just want to be good at what you're good at, right? And you want to be known for it, and you want to just keep going at it and know that you have like that support behind you. So he says this, and I'm just like, oh my God. And one of those things that I feel like I can recognize, right, with another creative, I'm like, this is so vulnerable to share in front of like 20,000, 2,500 people. Like, it's just like, damn, like you almost like want to give somebody a hug, right? But then you're almost like, damn, he's speaking about all of our lives right now, but we're just stunting. Like, we're just acting like we don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. But I just thought it was so vulnerable. So then we got moved to the back of his dressing room where they were just like, hey, we're going to have you meet Sean. And I go in with my friend, and I present him the painting. He loves the painting. And I'll never forget this conversation because this is the conversation that changed everything. It changed everything. Even to this day, his people know about this conversation, and it just changed my life a lot, right? And I'll never forget it. This happened in 2015. This happened 9 years ago. So, and I'll never forget, because it just feels like it was yesterday still. But I remember he asked me, he was just like, oh my God, I love this painting. I have it on video. Oh my God, I love this painting. He was like, is this what you do? And I remember saying to him, no, I do nails. And then he was just like, oh, wait, you don't do this? I thought this is what you do. And I'm like, no, I do nails. And I'll never forget that. I gave him the short answer of what I do instead of giving him the answer of what I love to do. And this man just came on stage in front of like 2,500 people and didn't give a fuck, and like, was vulnerable and told his whole entire life story. And I'm just like, why did you give him that answer? Like, he just shared his own vulnerability. So like, like you should too, and it will be okay. I'll never forget when I started switching my title over, because a lot of the time, right, people want a solidified title. What do you do? I'm CEO of this, or I'm the supervisor of this, or I'm the account manager of this. I'm the business, right? And I was telling people I'm a nail tech, but I remember the fear that I have when I would tell people I'm an artist. Oh, okay, what kind of art do you do? And I would tell them I'm a painter. And then from there, I remember getting the questions that they don't ask now. They don't ask the questions now because a lot of what everyone does now is saturated. But back then they used to ask like, oh, how are you doing with that? Do you do okay? Is that your real job? Is that your full-time job? You do that on the side. And I would tell them, no, I do this. I do this. Every single bill that you pay, I pay too. I pay with art. But I'll never forget. So all this has happened, right? And the next day, I go back home. I go back home into my space. What's it called? He has his painting and all that. And I remember my brother running into my bedroom, and he was just like, I remember my phone died. I charged my phone back, and I remember I had like 100 missed calls. And I'm here. I'm just like, who the fuck is calling me? Like 100 missed calls. I'm not with anybody. Like, I mean, my friends don't call me that many times, but it's from all of my friends and my contacts.
Yeah.
Just like, Olivia, they're talking about you on Hot 93.7. I'm just like, really? Why? Because I don't feel like even during that time, I didn't really have a big following. I only had
Yeah.
like, maybe it went up to 500. But I remember they were just like, they're talking about you on Hot 93.7 because Big Sean just posted a picture of you and he tagged you. And I'm like, he tagged me? So in one day, overnight, my 300, 400 followers went to 2,500. So now it happened, right? Yeah. And also now in my marketing mind, right? I am now also exposed to your audience, which is like, because before these 300 followers are probably just people I know in Connecticut, but now 25 people is like people in LA, people in Chicago, people in Atlanta, people that
The world.
right, right. So I'm here, I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I'm like so grateful. I'm so appreciative. I share my whole entire journey. So even you'll find a lot of videos from me back then where I'm just like, thank you for this or thank you for that. I always believe in giving thanks all the way in between. And I go back to the nail salon. Remember, I'm not in that space where I think like more is going to happen. I just like, okay, another win. Cool. So I go back to the nail salon and I go and I do a pedicure for an older woman. And in this space, right? Mind you, as I'm like even sitting down, right? So much has just happened, right? Where it's like now you're kind of like planted this idea in your head where you're just like, you just saw that work for you, right? You just saw that work for you. Why are you still here at the nail salon? And I'm just like, well, I know I make promising money here. I know that I will have money here and there. I sit down and I don't know why. And I'm telling you, it's a sign, but you're supposed to be sanitary. Like when you, what's it called, conduct anything that has to do with hands and feet and all that. You don't want to give anybody infections or anything like that. So we always wear a mask when we do a pedicure. And for some reason, I didn't wear a mask that day. And I went down one of the first process of like, doing pedicures, you got to clip toenails to even them out. And I remember clipping this older woman's big toenail. And I didn't wear my mask. I'm talking to her and all that. And I clip her toenail and it hit my mouth. And I think like, and normally when I say this, if when I share the story at like colleges and university, they're just like, ooh, because it's disgusting. but it like, because it gets good, right? It does. It's like these things happen and they break you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? So it hits my face, right? And I know she sees it. She sees it. I know she thinks it's disgusting. And I remember just like looking up at her at that moment. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I can't do this. And I quit. So then.
So you quit right there.
I got on the spot. I know. Savage.
You were fed up.
Very. But sometimes, right? It happens like that. It happens like that, and not just only my experience, right? But like a lot of people's experiences where it's just like it'll be that one thing that happened because there are so many things inside of you that accumulates, right? But it's that one thing that breaks everything. It breaks the branch. So my manager comes up to me and he was just like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll have someone else take over. And he can see that I'm like not okay. I remember he was asking me, he was just like, what are you going to do? And I know it sounds crazy, but I was giving him like that cliche ass answer where it's just like, I'm going to go follow my dreams. And I remember that day I only made like $60, which was not a lot, but he gave me 80 to go. And I remember driving in front of a VFW. It was in Newington. And I just parked my Integra there. And I sat in my car and I cried really bad. Like really, really bad. Out loud, screamed. And it was really painful because I'm young and I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't know like what to be proud of. I don't know what is going to be in the future. So, and I remember just like, I'm very big on prayer, the power of prayer. I'm so big on it because there's nobody in this world that can tell me it don't work because it does. But I remember in the car, I was saying out loud, like, I don't care. Like, I want to do this and I will do this. I need your help, God. I don't care if I have to paint like newborn babies, or if you want me to do like tattoos or logos, or if you want me to paint like somebody's house. It was like the most littlest trivial work, right? Before I even found my style. But I was just saying it out loud. I was like, I'll just do it. I just don't want to work for somebody. And I don't want to work like this where it just doesn't feel like I have purpose in it. Like it's not my purpose, you know?
Uh,
So I remember even like, like my experience with Big Sean, right? And him being so vulnerable in front of so many people. I went on the internet and I just posted a photo of myself and I told everybody, and I know they thought it was crazy and they thought it was absurd, but I was like, hey, because they all saw that I just met Big Sean. So then now they're just like, I just told everybody, I was like, I quit my job today. I quit my job. I was it called, am basically taking the entrepreneur route. And I just want to let everybody know I'm going to take clients. So let me know if you need a newborn picture done or a tattoo or a logo, you could hit me. And it's interesting because in this moment, he had just gave me the shout out. So now it's like it's a wide range of people that see this post where it's just like this girl just quit her job. She don't got anything else. This girl just quit her job. And I remember the first week, and this is a lot of people, but I remember the first week I got 20 clients. But this is also right when like my artwork was like $50. So it's just like 50 people, $50, cool. We could spare $50. And they're
uh,
just like, let's just support her. And
yeah.
then the more that I kept doing it, my following grew. It grew even more,
Mm,
but now it impacted a different person's audience. So then from there, I would still showcase all of my journey and my work. And then from there, other celebrities and their teams grabbed onto it and then they would reach.
uh,
But that was definitely that like moment where it was just like in that moment, you have to pick and choose. Don't wait. And sometimes it's like it's beyond your willpower. You're just like, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of my own shit. And I've also had enough of everyone's shit. And this shit is just not for me. Cause it's all aligning of I know who I am and I know myself well. And I also know what I like and what I don't like. And I just don't like this. And this is just not what I'm meant to do here.
uh,
So
uh, yeah. Now, how did your family and the people closest to you react that day that you quit your job and made the declaration that you were gonna start this new journey?
well, I do want to share, right,
Uh-huh,
that like even back then, right, and respectfully, I think back then, and coming from an immigrant like home and all that, like
uh-huh,
we are blue collar people. My parents are blue collar people, so they've always known that in order to, have the fruit that we're going to create and all that, you have to work really hard. You have to like a lot of labor work has to be done, right?
uh-huh,
So, um, I think like even back then when I decided to take this route and all that, I feel like it didn't just happen overnight. So even in between in the beginning, right? I still had to borrow money from family members or borrow money from friends to like kind of make ends meet while still hustling to make this art work, right?
uh-huh,
And it also helped because during this time and space, I lived with my family. So it's not any major bills or responsibilities that I had to take on my own. But I will say this, right? If it is not exposed to you, because I don't want to ever say like what's it called, my brother, my sister, my family, my friends are not supportive. But I will say this, right? If something that isn't exposed to you ever before, where you've seen it prominent and like succeed, like art, you're probably just gonna be like, I don't know how you're gonna do with that, or I don't know if you're gonna do well with that because it's not exposed to us, right? We don't know
uh-huh,
what to do well in that field, but
uh,
we know hustlers. We just know like people that work really hard. So I think like even in the beginning, right? Supportive, but I feel like they like, they probably still had it in the back of their minds, like, like she got to make shit shake, like she probably needs to find like another job to keep things solid, right? And
uh,
I do feel like even back then, like when I decided to pursue this dream, and let's just say if I couldn't make my ends meet and all that, I do want to share, like, there could be like possible resentment in between, right? Where it's just like we're working real hard jobs and like you want to do whatever you love and all that, and now we gotta let you borrow money. And then I would always pay people back. Like, I'm very big on that. I don't like having a debt over my head. So
Uh,
um but as it grew, right? As it grew, it became so much more solid, right? And because it became so much more solid, because the outcome of people that would come to the shows, the exhibitions, the people that would buy prints and paintings, everything was so constant, it became so fluid. And I feel like when it became so fluid, now there's a bigger respect there,
uh,
right? There's like a more solid confidence where we're like, oh, she's doing okay. Like, she's doing okay. I want to share a story about, what's it called? It's a really good story. It's about my dad, but my dad, and it's just like, it's beautiful. This story is really, really beautiful because it's just the way that it did flourish. But when I was in college, I was an art major, not art ed, and they were asking me, like, well, what are you going to do after college? They're just like, if you're not going to do art ed, if you're not going to be a teacher. And I was telling them I want to be an artist, just an artist. And I remember things just sound really harsh in a different language. But I remember, like, my dad saying, like, he was drinking with his buddies and they would always ask about the children, the older one, the younger one, the middle one. I am the middle one. And I remember they were asking, they're like, oh, how's your daughter doing? And like, he said something and it was just like kind of painful to hear it. But I just know that it was like kind of his way of just like saying, like, maybe she's going to figure it out. But he said, she's being stupid right now. She's taking art in college and like she thinks it's going to pay things off, whatever. But we keep telling her to change it. And I think, like, when you're young, right? Like I said, when you're young, you take things personal and you don't see it from their point of view because you don't see the sacrifices that they made when they came over here, right? You're just more like, Dad, Mom, I just want you to support me. Support me in anything I want to do. If I want to have green hair tomorrow, you better be behind it, like, but they're more of like, I don't want anyone making fun of my kid. I don't want anyone, I don't want my kid to be homeless. I don't want my kid to get hurt. I don't want my kid to not have any money. And now, being older, I completely understand where it comes from because they fear for your financial stability. That's
mm,
what, right? So I'll never forget, like, it hurt my feelings a lot. But my next, and it was very shortly after Big Sean, I want to tell you, it was like the week after everything that happened with Big Sean. I ended up doing a massive painting for Rick Ross. Big Sean's publicist is friends with the vice president of Maybach Music Group. His name is Sav. Sav DMs me, reaches out to me, and he tells me, he was like, hey, we love this painting that you did of Rick. And
mm,
he was like, we want to know if you want to give it to him. And we also want to know, what's it called, if you'd like to make an even bigger one, because he's going to have a concert in New York. And he's part of Maybach Music Group, where there's Wale, there's Meek Mill. Meek Mill just came out. They just all collaboratively released a album called Self Made 3. And they were just like, he's going to be in New York, which, I mean, he probably should have been in Miami, but he's going to be in New York. Wale's going to be in Philly. And then, Wale's going to be in DC. Meek Mill's going to be in Philly. They're going to all live stream at the same time. Now, this is when live stream was really big. And they were just like, hey, we want to know if you want to come to New York City and give, what's it called, Rick Ross your artwork. And we also want to know if you want to come out on stage and give it in front of everybody. I'm just like, in these moments, right, as this is happening, and this is my life still. I still am like this, right? I'm just here and like sometimes I just can't believe what people are saying to me. I'm just like, are you shitting me? Like, I mean, I'm just like, is this fucking for real? Like, like, damn, I went from in front of the concert to on the concert stage. Like, that's crazy. So I drive to New York, and what's it called? And I go with my boyfriend at the time, and we go into this hotel lobby. We wait for Rick to come in. Rick comes in, what's it called? Kind of vain a little bit, but what's it called? He comes in with like his music playing really loud, which I'm sure it's just for the video, but very kind man. And I remember Sav asked him, he was just like, ask her how long it took her to paint this. And then he asked me, he was like, how long did it take you to paint this? And I was like, it took me 2 hours. And it's a really big painting. And then he was just like, it took you 2 hours to do this. And he was so kind about it. He was like, his eyes was just like big. And he was just like, wow, you are so talented. Thank you so much for this. He was so appreciative about it. And then he was like telling his team, he was just like, get her a gift. He was like, to actually ask her to come out on stage with us. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like not my life, by the way, because I'm just young and just like dumb and, trying to figure shit out. And I remember like, oh my God, go on the stage with a rapper. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is like awesome. So I had just graduated CCSU, and CCSU was it called this newspaper called The Recorder. I don't know if they have it anymore, but they decided to front page my photo with Rick Ross, and it says Rick Ross buys alum's work, which that's not true. I gifted the painting to him, but people will always do stuff for clickbait or stuff to read. So I remember my dad was having car trouble, and I had to go pick him up from where he was working, and I had the newspaper clipping in the back of my back seat. So I go and I pick him up, and he goes, and in his time frame, right, being from Vietnam, like him and my mom, right, just back then, they're back in the day people. So if you were on the front page of a newspaper, they're just like, why are you on the newspaper? What happened? So I had to explain to him too that, Dad, I just did this painting for like this well-known person. He got a lot of money. Like, it's like I had to tell him stuff like that in order for him to really get the famosity of this person, right?
Mhm.
And he's a musician, very well known. So everything changed when I remember he was just like, oh, can I take that? Can I show it to my friends? Yeah. And even to this day, my dad still has that newspaper clipping.
That is
And
it.
he tells all his friends now too, him and my mom. He tells all, it's like, my daughter's a famous artist. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, and I feel like to your point before, when a certain life is all that someone knows,
Mhm.
being the one to do something different is so out of the norm. It's scary because it's so unknown, and they
Yeah.
want you to be safe. They want you to be
Yeah.
secure, and
Yeah.
so it kind of like they project that fear onto you.
Just later.
So it must feel so good to still continue your path and show them like a different way of living life. Like you showed them, yeah, you can find success in doing what you love. And
Yes.
sure, they must feel so proud of you for doing that, but then also like
And
showing them that that was possible.
oh man, it was the moment they've all been to like the exhibitions before, like the shows before. But
Sure.
I've had my biggest show in New York. It was 4 years ago, and my mom, my grandma, and my aunt attended. This is their first time
Sure.
attending a massive show like that.
Mhm.
And I just know that afterwards, I just know that they have like a whole new outlook on my life and like my life to people. And on top of that, like my life as an artist and as an entrepreneur. And I can tell that they look at art different too.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, right, one of the biggest humps that I was able to get over is that, and I hope this message reaches somebody that is in college or you're leaving college. I know you're so young, and I know like a lot of the times, right, from our family, we take things so personal because what we're doing is so dear to us, right? So it's just like somebody can see you working hard. Well, then they'll never experience what you're actually experiencing while you're working. You're like mind fuck because you're just like, oh my God, I have so much anxiety. But it's just like, oh yeah, I see you working hard. You're like, you're getting through it. And I'm here, I'm just like, only if you knew I'm dying inside, but thank you, right? And one of the things that I feel like I'm able to see now, right, is that because before I want to say that I used to be really defensive, where it was just like, how come you don't support me? Like, I support you. I want you to do this or I want you to do that. But now I understand the fear of like, it's not that we, like from their side, right? It's not that we don't support you. It's we want you to be okay. We want you to be happy. We want you to be healthy. We don't want anything to happen to you. We do not want you to not have money. We do not want you to, kind of like also it's like they don't want you to fail, so they know the safest ways for you, right? But at the same time, it's like they want you to be happy. But I want to say that there's such massive growth there, because how I look at it now, right, is that I am able to like look back at things now where I'm just like, this is an act of love. It's not an act of hate. It's not an act of like discouragement. It's not an act of like, we don't support you, or like hater. Like, it's not an act of that. I feel like it, like, but a young minded me used to think that, right? But now, an older person, now me being older, I'm just like, I totally understand where they're coming from. But now, too, right, comes with the years of experience, right? The
Mhm.
years of experience shows people how about it you are, right? Because when I first started, right, it wouldn't feel like they were probably on board, right? But the many years that you put into something, and then you watch it grow, they watch it grow, they go to your shows, they see the amount of people there, they see the amount of money that you're able to make now off of something that you started, right? There's more of a promise there where they're just like, she's going to be okay. And
Yeah.
she's moving it to us. And now, like, from these shows, or even from the people that she's been able to do work for, she has our massive respect.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I do feel like you got to be your own biggest cheerleader, but if they don't see it now, they'll see it later.
Mm.
You have to still move like along without that validation. Although I know that that validation matters, but you just have to keep going.
For sure. For sure. Wow. I love that. So they don't see the vision because only you can see it during that time.
Only you can see it.
So we're touching on the idea of familiarity, right? So your parents, they stuck to what they knew, right? But them coming to this country, they knew what was needed to survive, right? Because they saw it from people that they knew. It was kind of like this plan, like, all right, to be successful here, this is how you have to do it. So it's familiar.
Mhm.
And you, after your first big experience, you went back to the nail salon. You didn't identify as an
Mhm.
artist first because that was what was familiar to you. That
Yep.
was life that you saw already. You saw parents. I don't know if your parents worked there, but like family members or friends or something, like that was the life that you were familiar with, and you just went back to it because it's what's familiar to you.
Mhm.
So jumping from that familiarity into a space that's totally not familiar, a life that is not familiar to anyone, to you, not anyone around you. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And it takes a lot of identifying your limiting beliefs to then get over that, then pursue this new endeavor. So could you talk a little bit about that? What were some of the limiting beliefs that you had during that time? And this could be like mental beliefs, spiritual beliefs that you had during that time that you recognized was keeping you from making this jump and that you needed to overcome.
I want to say it's the biggest one. It's the one that everyone faces. It's fear. And but that fear, right? It's so self-created in your head. It's
Uh-huh.
like it's like people can like, it's like people can tell you what you're scared of, but it's like only you know, right? Only you know what you fear the most, what you're absolutely just like super scared of, right? And I feel like one of the things, being young, this happens a lot when you're young, right? Because I feel like I have to say that because my mindset is so different now. But when you're young, you're absolutely scared to be judged. Like, you're absolutely scared if people are going to talk about you, if they're going to cyberbully you, if you're going to have like their own biased opinions about your life, right? And I'm doing so many things that a lot of people weren't doing. So that's why it makes it so scary too, right? But at the same time, the more that you're impacting people and inspiring people, now there's a whole group of people that are for you, and they're
Uh-huh.
just like, listen, I know you don't know me, but I watch your shit every single day, and you inspire me every single day, and I love you. You always have my support. These people now have still been following me for like 15 years, and
Wow.
still, they're just like, yo, you're mad dope. I want to see it happen for you. And I think it's one of those things, right? When people are comfortable with themselves and they're confident in themselves, they are able to transcend over that support to you because
Mm.
they can recognize this person is trying. She
Yeah.
doesn't give a fuck about what anybody thinks. She is still going so hard for it, right? And I think back then, I was still in that place of people pleasing where I'm just like, I want people to like me. I want people to follow my channel, or I want people to like, follow this and that. And I
Mhm.
like I said, like as it grows, right? You grow too as a person. And now you're just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck if you follow me or not, because you're gonna keep up with me anyways. Like there's so many like stillness of confidence that embeds in you where you're just like, I know who I am. I'm about my shit. These people know I'm about my shit too. And that's why they will still follow me because if I say something, I will do it. There's a lot of people that say something and they don't do it. I don't ever act like that. If I tell you I'm gonna do something, I do it. And I think like with showing action and all that, it blocks out that fear, right? Where it's just like if you can show somebody that you're someone where listen, I used to have a lot of fear too, and now I'm just here. And I'm just like, what the hell do I have to lose? I feel
Yeah.
like it inspires other people to act like that too. They're just like, she doing it, I could do it too. Like
Mhm.
she has nothing to lose. She has nothing to lose. I can do it too. You
Yeah.
know. So I want to tell you the beliefs is it's just so common. It's fear.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this leads to our final question for
Ah,
the session today.
cool.
So, what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself when you were during that time where you were working at that job you didn't like and you were about to make that plunge? What is one piece of advice that you would give yourself then or to anyone who's in a similar position?
Man, oh man, I love this question. I really do, right? Because I can only speak from my own experience. And I know people have different experiences, but so this answer won't be for everyone. This is going to be for people that it applies to, right? Um, I grew up in an immigrant home where, like, and it's no offense to my parents. I love my parents very much, but because they had to provide so much for me, my brother, and my sister, they weren't always emotionally available to us, right? Where I think, like, along with a lot of that, right? Me, my brother, and my sister, we created such solid friendships in school, in relationships, and all that. But I feel like when I was that young and I was trying to navigate art and I was trying to like figure out who I was at 18, 19, 20, right? I feel like I leaned on so much of like relationships, right? Like to validate myself, to make sure that I'm loved and I'm important and I'm thought of or I'm considered, right? But I see this question and I really just hope it gets to like the right person is that I just want you to know that you're so young. You're so young. And even after 30, you're still young and you're still figuring it out. And I know that you're in this relationship right now. And I don't want to wish no bad shit on this relationship, but I just want to say, like, it might not be there tomorrow, but your ideas are, your goals are, your thoughts are, you are. And it's really so important that you find the value of yourself and your worth in yourself before you just go into a relationship. In high school, it's so easy to be in a relationship. Oh, that's my boyfriend. But it's just like these people, when they like, not everyone grows with you as an entrepreneur. Not everyone will grow with you as you go into so many different fields because it is so unfamiliar to them. And sometimes they're not growing in that way, they're growing in a different way. Sometimes you guys might grow apart. And I just want to say that I really want to tell somebody if there is some if there is something that you absolutely want to be and you want to pursue, right? Let's just say you want to be an actress, you want to be a singer, you want to be renowned, you want to be something, right? Like you really need to like cut all the dead ties like away that hold you back from a lot of things. And when I say hold you back, right? People are always saying, um, you have to make sure that you are somebody that can always like remain peaceful from within, right? I do believe that, but
Sure.
I also do believe you are also the company that you keep, and I have seen that from my own experience, right? So like my last like relationships and all that, they played like the part that they were supposed to play, right? But I can tell a younger me was like, I don't want to let this go because oh my God, like, like you love me and I love you and we're supposed to be together. And
Yeah.
it's like so many things that you want to say, but it's like, listen, there are like 8 billion people in this world. I don't want one person to stop you from your whole entire life legacy and life career. Because when you really think about it, right? People are bonuses in our life. But your life and what you leave behind is the biggest impact ever. What you leave behind will be the biggest impact. Like nobody, I don't like, nobody matters. Nobody matters in that space. We can care about people all we want, but what you leave behind is a guideline for somebody else, and they will look at it. They will look at your book and they will follow all your tips and your advice and your answers and all that. And I know we get experiences from relationships and all that, but don't worry about the boys. Just do not worry about the boys. I know you're worried about the boys right now, but what you really need to worry about, because you're 20, you're 21 and all that, you need to worry about your money and you need to worry about your empire that you're going to make. You need to worry about your body and your health. You need to worry about all of that. You need to worry about your looks, your hair, all that, like the stuff that they tell you not to worry about because you're a woman, worry about that shit. Like worry about that. And I promise you, when you were doing everything in between, to better yourself, right? The right guys will come. The right guys will come because they will tell what kind of woman you are. So that's the advice that I want to leave behind. And this is also applies to all the guys too. You're young, figure yourself out first, and whoever comes into your life is a bonus. But don't make that your whole entire mission in your life because a lot of people do.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so true. That is so true. People
It
focus their
is.
attention on other people and not on themselves. And what happens is they lose out on developing themselves because they're not focused on themselves. So they're being left undeveloped, focusing their attention on all these external people, things, when it's themselves that needs to be developed, and that then is what's going to attract what's right for you. But you have to know yourself. You have to reflect. You have to date yourself and just really know who you are independent of anyone else. Because how else is anyone going to be attracted to you when there's nothing to be attracted to because you haven't worked on yourself?
Because you don't know yourself and you're just willing to let anybody walk all over you. If you don't mind me sharing, right? And I remember I think like I told you this story before, right? But it was just last year. I went to my very first baseball game. I went to a Yankees baseball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 33 last year. That's my first baseball game I ever went to. I don't care. But I'm happy. I'm super excited about it. My best friend, she's a diehard Yankees fan. I don't even know the game of baseball, but I just heard it's long as hell. So I'm here and I'm just like, okay, can't wait. I love dressing up. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to go to a baseball game. It's about to be so cool. I'm about to like eat a hot dog and all that, do all the stuff that people say that, you do at a baseball game.
Yeah.
And I could not get over this, right? It was the day before that we had to drive to the Bronx to go to Yankee Stadium. And I was thinking to myself about, because I'm 33 last year, right? I was thinking about how there were so many times when I was young, right? 18, 21, 25, 27, 26. And I went to a gathering, or I went to an amusement park, or I went to a party, or I went to the beach, or I went to a family outing, and I was not mentally present because I was so worried about a boy. I was so worried about, oh my God, like, I wonder what he's doing. Does he still love me or this and that? And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, I'm 33 years old. I'm not worried about a boy. And I'm so happy because I get to go to a baseball game with one of my best friends, and she's about to tell me the game. Like, she's about to tell me how baseball works and all that. Yankees versus the Mariners. And I just remember just like being older, right? And just thinking to myself, I'm just like, God, that felt so robbed. And now that I have that awareness, right? I just don't want to rob that of my life, Anybody into your life won't rob that, they won't rob you of your mental peace while they're away. And I just thought to myself, like, this is so beautiful. Like, I'm older now and I just can't wait. I just can't wait. My friends are my soulmates. Anybody that comes into my life, thank you. Like, thank you for the lessons and all that. But I want all the young girls to know that. Like I know you're at your job right now thinking about that Joe Schmo. You know, like I know you're at your job right now thinking about this guy that doesn't even know himself, right? Or he's not speaking to you nicely or this and that. And I just want you to know that there's so many options out there. You don't have to give up on your life. Worry about your life right now. The guys will come later.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's right. That is some good advice, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Olivia, for this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that the listeners will as well. Do you have any final words before we jump off?
Um, I'm so excited. You know, like one, I just feel like I in in the 2 years after COVID, I feel like I've gotten the opportunity to connect with more creative people, right? And then connect with making more friends and all that. And just being able to have these type of conversations, right? Because they make sense, right? And it's almost like I know you know this, but it's like sometimes we're not able to have these conversations with everybody. So when you are able to have these conversations, you're just like, oh, I'm speaking my piece and I'm speaking my truth. But I love that I feel even at this age, I know what I'm talking about because I've been through it. I know I'm going to go through more, but I've been through it. And you're allowing me that space to share that. Right. So thank
That's right. Oh no, thank you. Thank you so much. And to that point, real quick, I know I'm trying to end this, but we're both in our 30s. It's great up here. I love it because
I love it here. I love it here because one, we don't look our age, right? And I really do. I feel like it's like the uncles and aunties season. Like, oh,
it is. And you're to your point, like we've had our experiences, right? We had our experiences and you grow so much from them if you self-reflect, so important. But when you allow yourself to do that, you level up. And then when you're in your 30s, you just operate from a place of confidence and just like
yeah,
assurance,
yeah,
self-assurance,
yeah, we're more
and
established. So imagine
more established.
yeah, imagine 50s, you know?
Oof.
I don't see it as like I think like sometimes it's easy to feel like oh my god it's about to get harder because we're about to get older, our body's not gonna operate the same. But I mean I'm like no, I'm 34 now and like I'm 34 and I feel 26. My
Yeah.
body feels 26 and I feel like if I keep operating this way where I'm like mentally building my mind and I'm mentally building my body and all that, I
Okay.
think I'm great at 80.
Oh, I believe it 100%. And
Yeah.
I think the key is that you're following your joy. You're doing what you want to do. You're not doing something that stresses you out to where it ages you and it brings out the worst in you. Like you are living in fulfillment and purpose. And I think that's the secret to staying young.
Thank you.
All right, friend. Thank you again so much.
Love you.
Love you too. And I'll catch you next time.
Okay. Perfect. Ask you.
Bye.
Bye.